Hello, everyone. Welcome to another DCU Daily, and it is time for the end of the week special DCU. I don't know what makes it special, because we're doing a Fancast Friday. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why it's special. Anyway, but welcome to DCU Daily. Welcome to the show. We have a lot of news. A lot of news for you today. Maybe not as much DC stuff as we'd like, but we do have a lot of news. We got more news on the Warner Brothers bidding war. Netflix wants in, and they want to beat Skydance to the punch. We got more about the Jimmy Kimmel suspension stuff. We got some MCU news, and of course, some box office stuff in regards to the newest Jordan Peele-produced Failure, it seems like. And then, of course, we have a lot of our quick hits to get into. And then, of course, talking DCU stuff. We got a smorgasbord of stuff. We're talking comics. We're talking Clayface. We're talking Batman Part 2. We're talking Peacemaker. And then, of course, we're talking a couple of things. And people might be mad on what James Gunn's thoughts are in regards to height for a superhero. So, of course, we will get all into all of that and more after this wonderful intro. Play it out.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see Corbin.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Friday, DCU Daily. I'm John. Very nice to see all of you. Once again, right dude getting into the chat right when we start. Emo Nerd Girl, Caleb, Tony. Hello, Tony. Hello, right dude. Hello, Caleb, Monique, Emo Nerd Girl, Decol Games. All of us in the chat. Had a very long chat before we got in. Sorry, we're usually delayed. We're just horrible on that time. But that's okay. We know you guys will love us anyway, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's probably a toxic relationship, but we still appreciate what you guys do with watching whatever ramblings that we have here on the show. And I am going to be joined by Dan soon. Just not right now. He's finishing up a couple things. So we are going to start the news without him for the time being, but then we will get into it. Oh, there he is. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were done, Dan, but Dan is going to be... we see your beautiful face. But
yeah, I'm sort of on audio only right now, but I'm here. So I can, hello, everybody. I will take part in the conversation as best as I can. So... just be kind.
That's all we can hope for. So you're good. But glad to have you here. Hope you're doing better. And let's get into it because we're going to be talking about some box office stuff. Usually we try to begin and end the week with box office stuff, projections, and recording of what happened over the weekend. But obviously this is kind of a projection a little bit. But the newest Jordan Peele produced film, the newest movie that makes Jordan Peele on goddamn suicide watch because we have had his fourth film canceled. He failed to get weapons, and now his backed movie from writer-director Justin Tipping is not doing that great. It premiered to 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has only gone down from there. And the audience score is not too stellar either. The last time I checked, it was at 59%, which just is under the cusp of being fresh. Well, apparently it did get a good amount in Thursday previews yesterday. It did garner $2 million, and it is just above The Long Walk in terms of its previews from last Thursday, as well as Speak No Evil from 2 years ago. I think it was last year. So, it's expected to open around the mid-teen millions, comparing it to The Long Walk from 11.7 million and Speak No Evil 11.4 million. But it's not doing great on Rotten Tomatoes. It has gone down to 30%. And, it's, as it says here, 59. It's probably gotten lower from there. And we'll see where this goes. Apparently, the budget was only 27 million. However, on the other side of the coin, Demon Slayer Infinity Capsule, which fucking broke records, it's expected to just keep going on their great streak with 14 to 21 million. And another failure in regards to Columbia Pictures' next film with A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. Well, there's nothing about this is bold and beautiful, but it sure is big. A big failure, because it has only made around $400,000 from its Thursday previews. And while it's doing a little bit better on Rotten Tomatoes, it seems like it's still not doing all that great in regards to that. But this is what it seems to be going to be, isn't, and all of that wonderful thing. So it seems like Demon Slayer and Conjuring are still going to be chugging away, while it seems like him might not be able to garner whatever it needs to. It's probably going to make its money back, but we don't know if it's going to make a profit just yet. Dan, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but I'm still curious about seeing it. But even though I've heard nothing but horrible things, I know you're not a horror guy, so we'll see.
Well, the reviews didn't look kind, so I think that's immediately, a bit of a red flag. So, I don't think this movie was going to make a lot of money. It needed good reviews to do better than expected, and clearly that's not the case. So, I also, I'm happy to see again, Demon Slayer continuing to do well. The other big one was, I don't know if that's this weekend, right? That's just coming out next weekend, One Battle After Another. I think that's...
Yes, I think, it's going to be next weekend, not this coming weekend.
Not that I don't think that was part of this article, but still worth mentioning. I'm pretty sure that will break that Warner Brothers
awesome
streak.
M2G. Long Walk was great. It's one of my top films of the year, so I'm glad you liked it too, M2G.
Yeah, I think we're about to see that 40 million plus opening weekend streak Warner Brothers has going break next weekend, because One Battle After Another, I don't think it's going to make that much money.
No,
probably half that at best.
Around there. But although speaking of Warner Brothers, Yash wouldn't know a good movie if it fucking punched him in the face. So, but speaking of Warner Brothers, we do have that to go next. And we're talking more about the bidding war. And maybe it has certain people excited. I don't know. But we have said time and time again that Zaslav wants war. He wants war, and he wants it to happen because he's a piece of shit. But Netflix definitely seems like the big head honcho here. This was originally reported on the New York Post, which we covered last week, previously this week, I don't remember, but New York Post has never been one for a noteworthy and reputable news source for a long time, but still, it's
what I was just
enough people reported on it that it's fine.
So the story about as far as the Netflix aspect of it, Puck, the newsletter, is one of the more reliable newsletters. It's like a trade source, but instead of just making it available on deadline.com, you have to subscribe to their newsletter. That's where this originated, with the whole idea that Netflix is considering a bid. I mean, for me, the biggest thing about Netflix considering a bid would be, of all the possible players, Comcast, I think was another one, potentially Apple or Amazon, obviously in the picture, almost by default, because why wouldn't they at least consider a punt? Because if you remember back when Fox was being sold to Disney, or like most of Fox was being sold to Disney, Comcast bumped in and were like, you know what, we think this is worth more than what Disney had initially offered. And then Disney had to almost double their initial offer and ended up paying like $20-30 billion more than what they were initially going to pay. So I can easily see if Paramount Skydance goes in with a bid and, you know, Netflix just walks in and says, you know what, or like or Comcast, and they want to put up a lot more money, just simple, or you know, or at least, you know, make the waves that they want to pay a lot more, therefore forcing Paramount Skydance to up their bid. And, you know, as a competitive advantage, I guess if Paramount Skydance spends a lot more money, that means they will have less to spend once they get a hold of the company, kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting. I think, John, for me personally, Netflix would be the worst case scenario because,
yes,
well, sure. Look, here's the thing: they're not giving DC to Zack Snyder if they do this. The biggest thing would be they would start taking a lot of this IP and then probably pushing it out to Netflix first, and that means all of a sudden you lose another big player in the theatrical market. Like, you know, exactly. And then without the dozen or so movies they put out there between Warner Brothers, New Line, DC, even Warner Brothers Animations and stuff. I mean, we know what Netflix likes to do. Like, even when Knives Out makes a decent amount of money in a couple of couple of weekends with the limited release, they still decide, you know what, that's about all we needed. Like, you know, we didn't prove anything. Let's just, you know, continue the model that we have. So it's, yeah, I personally wouldn't want Netflix to be the one.
No, I wouldn't want it either. It's just like, considering the fact that like Netflix has been in debt for fucking like a decade and a half. So like, where is the money coming from? At least Skydance, like, they have the money. Ellison has like a lot of fucking money at his disposal. Where the fuck is Netflix getting this money? They've been in like 20 billion in debt for years, possibly more. So where the fuck are they getting that money? The last thing I would want is a company that's in debt to buy another company that is also currently in debt. What's the point? What's the end game here? Like, it makes no sense to me. And Netflix, it's just like the idea of Netflix owning Warner Brothers, that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And like, I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to buy Warner Brothers, but Netflix sounds like the worst. And it feels like, again, you're taking away, because Netflix doesn't really release anything in theaters. They have like limited runs, like we were talking about Frankenstein yesterday, getting an IMAX release, and like maybe a couple things getting like a limited theatrical release. But Netflix doesn't make anything for theaters. So that, as you said, it like takes Warner Brothers out of the running for theatrically released movies. And that's another competitor that's off the table. And that leaves more money for like all these other people, and like the shrinking of studios, and this would just be absolutely terrible. And as much as I don't want it, like the fact that Skydance is looking better in this case, and it's just like, that's just not good.
Well,
and then on top of the fact, if I were to say Apple would be the best, but like, because they actually make stuff for theaters. But the thing is, nobody fucking remembers them, because the last time they had a big thing for theaters was Argyle, and that failed miserably.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I think if Apple comes in, so this is kind of what I'm looking at, right? Like with what Amazon did with MGM, and MGM was today's MGM, as in the 21st century version of MGM, not the heyday MGM back in the 60s or the 40s MGM. But the version of MGM that Amazon acquired, they consolidated a lot of the leadership. They brought in a lot of the people. And I mean, you know, some people were let go. Pam Abdiel and Mike DeLuca were in charge of MGM's theatrical production. Like, they were the studio heads, and then they came over to Warner Brothers Pictures. But what they did is they took a lot of that IP, and they're saying, okay, well, let's see what we can do. We can do a Highlander movie. We can, like, there's a bunch of other things in there. So there's a lot, you know, there's Voltron. I mean, there's many other things that Amazon got from that MGM deal that they obviously then James Bond we have talked about. So I think with Apple, it would be an even bigger, benefit to the Warner Brothers, because if Apple were to come in and take over, they likely would keep a lot of the divisions at Warner Brothers intact, because there's not as much corporate overlap, right? Like, obviously there's some areas like, you know, admin areas, HR, stuff like that happens all the time with mergers and acquisitions. But largely the whole reason why Apple partnered with Warner Brothers and in the past with Sony and with Paramount and Universal to distribute all their movies is because they don't have a distribution arm. So Apple original films that go theatrical have to partner up with a traditional studio that has the infrastructure in place, deals with distributors and movie theater chains in place. So I think if Apple were to get this, that would be a good, best possible case scenario, because while I think it would still hurt the overall output, because Apple all of a sudden is not going to go from like 12, 15 movies a year to 24, 30, but they wouldn't, necessarily sell off the studio backlot, or even, they will probably end up getting rid of a lot of the broadcast assets. I feel like the only scenario in which the CNNs and all the other TNT and TBSs of the Warner Brothers Discovery and all the Discovery channels, the only scenario in which all of those stay together with Warner Brothers Pictures and DC Studios and HBO is if Paramount Skydance gets them, because they want to keep all of these pieces together and leverage that scale, because they already have all the networks that that Paramount owns, like CBS and Nickelodeon and Comedy Central and so many more. If Apple were to get it, Apple would probably do what Warner Brothers is about to do next year, which is split off all the cables, and networks and broadcast networks, and get rid of those, keep the rest. But I think that's the next best scenario, where you still get to keep all of DC intact, largely intact. Apple's not going to go in and fire James Gunn. They're like, if it's working, let's enhance it. Let's empower them, I think, more likely. So I would much prefer Apple take over. Plus, also, Apple has a lot more money in the bank to just throw at these problems, and Apple is more likely to just completely pay out the debt and clear the debt for Warner Brothers Discovery, much like Paramount is looking to do. Paramount would also do the same thing. They would clear the debt. Netflix, I'm not so sure about. I think a company like Netflix getting in, they're probably going to like strip WB for parts, sell off the networks,
which is
because
what
they don't have
Sony
any
was
interest.
planning to do with
keep
Paramount,
the IP.
Right?
That was Sony's offer. They were like, we're gonna get all the IP and sell off pretty much everything else before Skydance, finalize their deal. So that would be, I think, what Netflix would want to do, and I personally prefer anything but that.
Right. I agree with that, because like I just feel like everything it just like every decision would be the wrong one if that were the case, I think,
Yeah, and then like Monique is saying, I think for both Netflix and Apple, the IP they get from Warner Brothers Discovery is the biggest get, because they get like Harry Potter, they get DC, they get all the other Game of Thrones. Can you imagine? Like, it's the crossover potential. Not that all of a sudden House Targaryen is going to sell you an iPhone, but you never know. I guess in a commercial you could. So,
yeah. But it just yeah, and the thing is, WB has had a track record for being the kings of bad ideas. Like, only a WB executive would die of thirst next to a fountain. Like, it's...
Well, to be fair, I think Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi have been doing well recently, right? I think like the current ownership,
but they'll probably
not
get
every
shit
decision,
out. Like all these other people will get shit out once if this merger were to go through. So, and remember, this merger might not go through. They might not get bought out if Zaslav gets what he wants in terms of the stock market. So, we'll see how that goes.
Have you seen the company's valuation has jumped past 50 billion? I think it was, last I checked, it was like 55 billion, something like that, which is not twice as what it was a week ago, but it's certainly a huge double-digit jump. So all this talk has already achieved a lot of what David Zaslav wanted, which is potentially a bidding war. And I mean, even if it's a bidding war in the sense that what Disney had to deal with Comcast coming in simply to raise Disney's cost of acquiring all those Fox assets, including like the X-Men and Avatar and everything like that. Even if that's a bidding war, that's beneficial to David Zaslav and company, because David Zaslav and company probably get a buyout at the end, and they walk away cash rich with all the executive, because the chances are like David Zaslav and co are not going to stick around to oversee the new Warner Brothers. I mean, there's a chance.
Zaslav ain't fucking sticking around. He's like, I'm gonna go fucking flip another studio to see what happens. So
I mean, you know what? The only scenario in which I see Zaslav still involved in Warner Brothers and in Discovery in some way is he's like, give me my part of Discovery that I brought in a while ago, and I'll take the profit. Basically, he's gonna turn. You might be looking at in hindsight, David Zaslav. We thought he was coming in to rebuild, one of the great houses of movies and storytelling. Instead, he just looked at it as a fixer-upper and literally just flipped the studio after a few years of rebuilding it. Which, I mean, you know what? I wouldn't mind walking away with a few billion extra dollars in my pocket for 5 years of work if that's ultimately what ends up happening. But yeah, I mean, hey, we'll have to deal with the consequences because it's not like this
I
is
don't know
on
what that
our
means,
control.
but
So.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll keep you updated on this as time goes on. But it's like once you get excited for one thing, it gets ripped away. Yay. But
Well, it's not happened yet, so
well, yeah, it's not happened yet. But I'm not gonna remain doe-eyed and happy about this and like, oh, the best things are gonna happen from this when it's just like that's never gonna be the case. So so let's talk about more controversial shit that's gonna get us in hot water when no matter what we talk about. Jimmy Kimmel. So our guy here, as we know, after some recent comments he said about a certain somebody, he got suspended from his show and they keep airing reruns in the meantime for that is a very good question, Caleb. Brunch. What is brunch? What is brunch? Anyway. But the whole idea in regards to this, he said some controversial statements. He got fired and
I mean, to be honest, like Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, well, Jimmy Kimmel did not get fired. His show has been Jimmy Kimmel Live has been taken off the air indefinitely, suspended. So he's still technically an employee of Disney ABC, but he's definitely not going to be on air anytime soon. The other thing that we got to keep in mind is this is still very much an evolving situation where things will likely change in the coming days. So depending on when you're watching this, the situation might have changed completely or not. So, but with that said, ultimately, I think in summary, this has a lot to do with ABC's biggest affiliate groups like Tegna and Nexstar. Nexstar and Tegna are looking to combine and consolidate all their stations, like local stations that like you get your eyewitness news and stuff like that locally in the US. All of them are owned by different companies, and Nexstar and Tegna are the two biggest. The two of them are looking to get FCC approval because there's a law from the early 2000s that forbids more than 39% ownership by any one company of the total number of affiliates in the country, and this merger would cause that to happen, like for the new company to go over the 39% barrier. And it seems like the FCC, this administration, is using that as leverage, similar to what Paramount had to do basically with, and then as part of what Paramount did to complete, Skydance Paramount did to complete their merger, Stephen Colbert was a casualty. This is kind of the same, situation, because ultimately Jimmy Kimmel's comments were really not that bad at all. No. There's far worse has been said, by other people, on-air personalities in recent weeks and months. So, but like you see here in the article, John, and I don't know if we can dive into it a little bit more, but you could clearly tell that there's dissent from within as much as there is from without. As in, not only have you heard and seen protests at Disney, and just even like Tatiana Maslany, I'm sure we'll talk about it. Yep. One of their own stars, She-Hulk, who might actually be in Avengers Doomsday, is speaking out against it. And she's not the only Marvel star. The Avengers would always make a big appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and there's an Avengers movie coming out next December. I'm not saying it's the end of the world if they don't have Jimmy Kimmel Live to go on to promote it. They'll find other ways, but you could tell this isn't going down well, John. So you could just walk us through the deets,
So,
as it were.
There's kind of what this article talks about, going into specifics. There's a lot of stuff going on in regards to Disney. So there's the whole. It's a lot of stuff and like a lot of like political stuff. So it's essentially there's talks. What this article is saying, there's talks about it, and there's a lot of like combatant nature in the company right now. And we'll get into like specifics much later. But this essentially, what this article is about is just the inner workings of Disney and what's going on there and what that means for this whole situation, essentially. And there's a whole other thing in regards to the specifics. Brendan Carr, who made the decision, the FCC president, he says that threats on networks may be jawboning and courts don't like it. Legal experts say so. Now we're bringing the whole legality into everything, and how the FCC chairman, apologies, he's made apparently a wave of media appearances on all of these, and apparently he's made a lot more threats in regards to curtailing a lot of jawboning, as this one says. It's when a public official uses their position to inappropriately compel private action, and is also regulation by raised eyebrow. The FCC is barred by law from trying to prevent the broadcast of any point of view. The Communication Act prohibits the FCC from censoring broadcast material in most cases and from making any regulation that would interfere with freedom of speech. Expressions of views that do not involve a clear and present danger of serious substantive evil come under the protection of the Constitution, which guarantees freedom of speech and freedom of the press and prevents suppression of these expressions by the FCC. So there is a lot of legal talk in regards to what Brendan Carr is doing, because it seems like it's going to be a domino effect, and whether legal wise it can be stopped, we don't know, but there is some rumblings and tumblings. Exactly. And so there's all this rumbling and tumbling, and might not be the best.
Basically, there's not. If this was to be challenged in court, it wouldn't hold up very well. But ultimately, the reason why it seems like, again, this is our inference based on the events as they're playing out, not necessarily. You can't say this is exactly why Disney is doing or have done what they have, which is of course suspend Jimmy Kimmel. Because if this were challenged in court, there's not a whole lot of legal backing, and a lot of experts are saying Disney could have fought this in the court. The problem would be then there's still then the FCC could just make a decision and be like, what, we're just gonna stick with the rule from the early 2000s, and so Nexstar and Tegna, you cannot actually go through with your merger. And then all of a sudden they're like, Disney, you screwed us. We are your affiliates, and then that's really what it comes down to, right? Because it's like the FCC has the right to, or they can make a decision to not repeal or make an exception to or change the law that is in place right now around the 39% number. So it's and that reason why the 39% number was put in place was to make sure that there wasn't monopolies, and the identities of different regions in the U.S. weren't lost to a more nationalized group of affiliates. But their argument against that is, well, we're competing against streaming companies that have access across the entire country. Like people are able to get the same HBO Max from the East Coast to the West, and yet the affiliates that they're watching their NFL game on a Sunday, or CBS or Fox or ABC on Monday Night Football, that presentation looks a little bit different depending on if you're in LA or New York or Chicago or Austin and stuff like that. So it's that So there's a lot of nuance to this, but ultimately legal experts say that in the courts would, not rule in the favor of the FCC, because the FCC doesn't shouldn't be in the arena of making threats, essentially, or thinly veiled threats against companies.
And so that's what this article was talking about as well. And then from a surprise source defending Jimmy Kimmel, and we're gonna go into what regular people have been saying. So this is all about what's going on in Disney, what's going on from a legal point of view. Now we're getting into like people who are backing Jimmy Kimmel, and the first one to talk about is probably the most surprising one, with Ted Cruz. Apparently, Ted Cruz compares FCC chairman's Jimmy Kimmel comment to Goodfellas. I mean, that's what Elite Eazy was saying. Calls it dangerous to use government to force late night host off the air. So very interesting that he is saying this, because it's Ted Cruz. So he was essentially saying all this in regards to kind of retreading what he's saying. We're going to cancel ABC license. We're going to take him off the air so ABC cannot broadcast anymore. And I got to say, he threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, but we can do this the hard way. And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. So in regards to this, it's essentially probably the most surprising thing. This also talks about the Nexstar merger and all of that. He's still not really a fan of Kimmel, and said he was thrilled that he was fired. Even though he was just that, but even then, he still doesn't like the idea of, it just goes to show there are plenty of people that don't like Jimmy Kimmel that, that are still saying, yeah, this shit's still fucked up. Like,
yeah, it's more of
no matter how you
principle.
spin it, just like it seems like it's just like, because I've seen so many people that are like, oh, it's just he got suspended because his ratings suck. It's like, then why wasn't he suspended beforehand? Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, that's the thing that doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, if he had such shit ratings for so long, why the fuck is he still on the air? That's the thing. But magically, when he says something controversial about a figure that's been in the news a lot, where people have been fired from their jobs over, that he gets fired. I know he's not fired, but suspended from his job is where it all gets brought about. So that makes no fucking logical sense at all. You just like the guy that's doing this and shitting on the guy that you don't. And that's essentially what all of this is. I agree. I don't like Jimmy Kimmel here. I don't think he's funny. I think he's done a lot of bad shit in the past. But like at the same time, you're abusing your power. And God knows there has been enough of that recently. So
yeah. And it's that whole thing of they're not directly, doing anything that if it were challenged in court, then things could be different. But even then, the FCC could, like I said, they could simply not change the rule. And so this is ultimately, from a Disney's perspective, they probably were like, okay, we sacrificed Jimmy Kimmel, late night TV shows or late night TV is just dying anyway. This just hastens the demise of it. Stephen Colbert is going to be gone in a few months. Jimmy Kimmel's potentially not going to be around anymore. And, there's just from a business decision in terms of they had two bad choices, and by doing this potentially in Disney's, or the people in charge of Disney's opinion, they were like, okay, if the merger goes through for Nexstar and Tegna, then that's a lot more beneficial to us financially than the whole, basically didn't want to die on this hill.
It's in a coma.
So, yeah, they didn't want to die on this hill, but it's still, on a free speech basis, which again, people are like, well, he said this on a TV show that's, presented and owned by a company. So there's nuances to it, because it's not like he's, out in the streets saying something and somebody censored him. So there's far more knowledgeable people have talked about this in much more in depth. But as far as it relates to TV and movies, the way we talk about them, I still think this is wrong. But and Jimmy Kimmel, look, he may not be the best of the hosts, but he certainly, for what he said, I think this was really over the top. Like, because it just goes to show you how fragile, like, these companies are, and they're like how quickly and how ruthless in some ways. Because this was, again, it was a business decision. They were like, what's going to make us more money in 10 years? Jimmy Kimmel Live or the affiliates group that will come out of Nexstar and Tegna's merger? And they chose one over the other. But yeah, it's just, but anyway, let's continue. We got more reactions.
We're essentially just going to go through a lot of these because it's essentially just different people saying the same thing. Like the first, speaking of movies and TV, but Dan Gilroy has said something similar. On Disney suspending Jimmy Kimmel and Hollywood facing venomous evil. This isn't a skirmish, it's a siege. So essentially Dan Gilroy, I mean, we were talking about this like sign yesterday. Dan liked this sign. Where it's like, this is literally what Andor is about. And ironically, Dan Gilroy came in to say that this whole thing, and essentially he's just saying it's kind of what I was highlighting with this like authoritarian regime, and the fact that you're mimicking that in real life is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. So although speaking of regimes, a former CEO of Disney had this to say. Michael Eisner, who isn't exactly clean cut neither, he had a lot of suspicious fucked up things when he was the CEO. So, but lesser of two evils, I guess. Michael Eisner rips Disney brass for Jimmy Kimmel suspension and bending the knee. Where has all the leadership gone? He's saying the suspending, he had this to say, where has all the leadership gone if not for university presidents, law firm managing partners, and corporate chief executives standing up against the bullies? Who then will stand up for the First Amendment? The suspending indefinitely of Jimmy Kimmel immediately after the chairman of FCC's aggressive yet hollow threatening of the Disney company is yet another example of the out of control intimidation. Maybe the Constitution should have said Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the press except in one's political or financial self-interest. By the way, for the record, this ex-CEO finds Jimmy Kimmel very talented and funny. Well, you don't need to lie on that last one, Michael Eisner. But,
I mean, it's...
Yeah, it's...
John, I was just going to say, it's a weird timeline to be living in where, Michael Eisner and Ted Cruz are somehow seemingly on the right side of the moral boundary. I don't know, it's just, it's a weird timeline. It's like, these are two people that you wouldn't expect. I mean, again, look, good on them for, calling this out for what it is, which is, right. It just, because here's the thing, for example, The View, the show The View that also the president has been very critical of for a long time. They had an episode today, and they, I don't think, said anything really about all of this because they're afraid then they're going to get in the crosshairs and all of a sudden they're going to lose their jobs. They're going to be
in the crosshairs.
So it's just the intimidation of it, this chilling effect. And that right there is, indirectly, but still, it's
that's fascism right there, ladies and gents.
It's an attack on free speech. It's like, like you could say for all intents and purposes, yeah, sure, free speech still exists, but it's like,
if you're afraid back to say anything, that means some that those rights and freedoms are still, being controlled in some way, shape, or form. So, just saying. Exactly. But, it's kind of like the McCarthy. It's almost like we've seen this before, like with McCarthyism back in the day when Hollywood, you had very famous people, who weren't, like just unknowns get caught in the crosshairs, the Red Scare and all that. So this is, there's tones and undertones of that basically here. It's starting to get there. It's starting to look very similar. But with that, we go to more and more have called to cancel or boycott Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, and even Tatiana Maslany. People have made the joke like, boycott Disney Plus, stop paying your subscriptions. People were like, well, we stopped paying your subscriptions after seeing your god awful show. Where it's like, yeah, fair enough. But like,
I mean, she might be in Doomsday too, because she's posted this in her stories. If you look at the photo, and she's like in her mocap suit on set. So I mean, if she's like doing this from the set of Doomsday, that kind of creates another problem for Disney. Is like, anyway, but yeah, it's not good.
it's not the
And she's not
really
the only
that
one.
great. Really not that great. So yeah,
I mean, but she's not the only one. I think she's in the well. I don't.
It goes to show, because I've seen another group of people that are like, "Oh, bites the hand. You're biting the hand that feeds you." It's like, okay, fine. That doesn't. Okay, and who gives a fuck? Tatiana Maslany has other things outside of Disney that she could be doing right now, and on top of the fact, it doesn't matter. Biting the hand that feeds you. Okay, fine. This isn't a biting the hand that feeds you. This is a standing up for fucking human rights and rights in this fucking country. If that's biting the hand that feeds you, then bend your ass to the fucking leader. Bend your ass to the Fuhrer now, because that's how you fucking are acting right now. It's ridiculous, but it goes to show that she has balls. She might be a lady, but she got balls. You know?
I mean, hey, she's never been shy to speak her mind, and I mean, look, I love Tatiana Maslany as an actress. I just thought, again, with what She-Hulk was as a show was not something that I particularly enjoy. I mean, there were moments, but overall the show didn't connect with me. That being said, I mean, hey, if this is a situation where, like, for example, she isn't in the Avengers movies coming up, then she must be doing this with the knowledge, or at least the understanding for herself, that this may not be a role that she returns to if Disney is gonna do. I mean, I guess take such like the same kind of tact with what they did with Jimmy Kimmel, because it's hard in any situation. Like, you're one of your own stars speaking out again, like literally telling people. And then she's not the only one. I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later.
Amy Landecker, Bradley Whitford, Adam Kinzinger, who is a former congressman. You know,
I think Pedro Pascal also spoke out
we'll
against.
Get to that soon enough, but these are just more and more people that are like, yeah, don't fucking deal with that. Fucking just don't even try. And it's it kind of, this is just the same thing. This is just specifically about Tatiana Maslany. So, but yeah, and speaking of Pedro Pascal, he says Pedro Pascal defends free speech while others endorse the boycott. And he was saying, he took to Instagram on Thursday to write, standing with Jimmy Kimmel Live, defend free speech and defend democracy. And this also goes into Tatiana Maslany, Marissa Tomei as well. Add her to the list. We did talk about Damon Lindelof yesterday. Kerry Washington, and just so many others. Adam Scott, just a lot of people that are like, hey, this is not okay. Yeah, sure, it's you could say a lot of things right now in against this, and that's fine. That's fine. But like, no matter how you spin it, this is just a very unfortunate situation, and you could spin a lot of things, but none of them good, seems like. Hobo Max. Also hello Nelson. But yes, vote for Pedro. Very much so. Vote for Pedro. I think yeah, we're good, Nelson. But yeah, this was another one we were talking about. Conan O'Brien was he's saying that the suspension should disturb everyone on the right, left, and center. Well, it's only left and center. Just the right seems to be parading this, because I mean, is it under, as Dan said, there's a lot of nuance here with freedom of speech. I even said this yesterday. He was under, he was on a show, under a corporation, and he got suspended for saying something technically wrong. So, but it's still that the idea of like censoring people, and it's still not all that great. But yeah. But yeah, and there was apparently the rerun. There was a rerun replaced with Celebrity Family Feud. Hey, look at all these people that are in support of ABC. Ha ha ha. Um, but yeah, that was a whole nother case of that as well. And kind of ending on all of this, no matter what happens in the future in regards to this whole incident, it's not going to be good. ABC is kind of in a pickle here. If they bring Jimmy Kimmel back, well, then it's just like that on the business side of things that are going on. That might be bad for them. Then, the certain people will call this cowardice, like, oh, you brought him back. You should have stayed. You should have stayed the way that you were doing this and blah, blah. But if they keep him off the air, well, we're going to get a lot of riots in the street. So, it just seems like it is essentially a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And no matter what is going on, it's going to be extremely messy. I said this when this certain someone, this thing happened to him. I said, okay, cool. You got rid of one person, but at what cost? Well, this is the cost. A lot of people losing their jobs over nothing. So, it's just a very unfortunate situation, and it's just going to get a whole lot fucking worse. But that's it for that side of things. Let's move on to maybe something a little bit better. We were talking about Doomsday a lot. Well, we got to get into Doomsday news because we do have some MCU news for you guys. So let's just try to curtail this conversation. Let's try to move it in a different direction. So, yes. But first things first. Apparently, there are surprising plans for X-Men and Fantastic Four heading into Avengers Secret War. Possible spoilers, but this is from Cosmic Circus. They've been very dodgy in the past. According to Alex Perez of Cosmic Circus, that the Fantastic Four will be split up at the end of Avengers Doomsday, with half of the team working with one group of heroes and the other half likely with another. In the Secret Wars comic, Mr. Fantastic watched his family perish at Earth 616 turned to ash. In Doom's new reality, Human Torch powered the sun. The Thing was a protective wall around his castle, and the Invisible Woman became Victor Von Doom's bride. The Insider also claims that there is still a possibility we'll see the Council of Reeds in the next Avengers movies. As for Earth 10005's X-Men, which is the Fox X-Men universe, some of them will return in Avengers Secret Wars. As widely theorized, it seems that we'll end up with a multiversal team of heroes who will try to end Doom's reign, while others will have their past rewritten on Battle World, which brings in the whole reset of what's going to happen. But yeah, this is apparently merch in regards to Avengers Doomsday wrapping, because we did talk about that a couple times. But yeah, it's a whole mess of stuff. This is all just rumor. What about nobody fucking cares about the Inhumans. That's the thing.
I mean, honestly, I thought there were some good parts of that show. I mean, but overall, the show was bad.
But
bad.
Dan, I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. Do you think this holds water, or do you think it's more BS?
Well, it holds water in the sense, I think we have heard something to this effect before. It follows a bit of what has happened in the comics. And was it yesterday or was it today? We're talking about the House of M story potentially. That's kind of where this.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday, because they're saying like Wanda is going to be back and they're going to do a version of the House of M. I mean, there's a lot potentially to do in one movie or even two movies. There's a lot. People will be like, why are you doing like 5-story big comic stories together? But they got to do that soft reboot somehow. So I have a feeling that some of this lines up with that whole philosophy, because you have to sort of change the canon of the MCU a little bit if you're going to have all these characters inhabit the same timeline,
Right.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some of this. It's just like,
thank you, Nelson.
It's hard to believe some of this because it's just a little, it's
I mean, they're rumors for a reason.
I get very nervous about rumors. Like, it's just like,
yeah.
I don't want to believe anything until it's said by certain people or if there's an official thing coming out about it. But yeah, and moving on to a little bit funnier things, our boy Jimmy Gunn reveals the terrible advice he received while making Guardians of the Galaxy. So this was kind of a funny thing he mentioned while talking with someone on Threads. He had this to say, but apparently I was told no one would like the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, and I should change it to like Britney Spears like 90s songs. I don't know if it's the worst advice I've received, but it's the one I remember the most. And could you fucking imagine this?
Oops, I did it again.
Although Nelson had this to say, thanks for the super chat. He's like, do you guys believe in the Wanda variant based off X-Men? Maybe. We did talk about that you know, they might have like a royal family thing in regards to
I wouldn't mind seeing
Genosha,
that,
but we'll
I
see.
just like I wouldn't mind seeing it, but you really have to earn the return of Wanda Maximoff, especially if it's the same one with Elizabeth Olsen playing her. Like, you can't just drop her in because you want to do a House of. I'm just saying, like, it's gonna need to work and work well, because there's gonna be a lot of people looking at it and saying she's dead. Like, she was like so you know, the Marvel.
But it's comics.
Fake universe. Like, it's back. I know, but I'm just saying it's the MCU usually tries to have some reasoning behind these returns. So
probably just an executive, and you know, he's like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. And could you fucking imagine that? Jesus Christ, that would have been terrible. But luckily, Jimmy Gunn held to his guns and is like, nah, fuck you, man. I'm not doing that. Get that the hell out of here. So thanks for that, Jimmy. We appreciate you. But just this is more of a funny thing. But last bit of news. Apparently, John Berthel seemingly shares first glimpse at the Punisher's ripped, bearded Spider-Man Brand New Day look. You know, obviously,
there's a
Punisher
photo down there.
Is gonna be,
he's
gonna be busy. John Berthel is very busy at Marvel. He was in Born Again. He's probably gonna be in season 3. He's gonna be in his own special presentation, and he's gonna be in Brand New Day. So, you know, it's apparently this is what he be looking like. Too bad Liz isn't here to enjoy. But
this would have been a Liz special. I mean, he looks in good shape. I don't know if this exactly means that he's done this specifically for Punisher, because I don't like, he doesn't look a whole lot different from how we saw him outside of the beard and the Accountant too. So, I mean, you know, John Bernthal is always in great shape. So, I guess it's not a bad thing, though. I mean, hey, if this is directly connected to his Punisher appearances, which there will be plenty of next year, then good on him. He looks cool. Great,
looking great.
Yeah, bulge watch, I'm sure.
Yes, but that is it for the MCU side of things. Now we're gonna go with something a little bit more quick. Hell yeah. We're gonna go. We're gonna do the quick hits. And starting off with quick hits, the thing I'm very excited about, we got Joseph Kosinski. We got a release date, and casting is underway after this man fucking broke the world with Top Gun Maverick and decided that he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do the same fucking thing, but for F1 racing. And he did it again by giving us one of the most thrilling movies of the year. And he's going to do the same goddamn thing for Miami Vice. And with that, it's going to be August 6th, 2027 is when we are going to be getting Joseph Kosinski's Miami Vice film. Probably Don Johnson's role is probably going to be Tom Cruise, if I were to take a guess. Yeah, I'm stoked for this. The previous film attempt, a lot of people at the time didn't like it because it was very, very self-serious, unlike the original Miami Vice show. So they're trying it again. And Dan, what are your thoughts on this, since you are probably an even bigger Joseph Kosinski fan than I?
I mean, is this going to be the next big? Well, is it? I guess this is the Top Gun Maverick of 80s reboots. I don't know. Well, I guess Top Gun.
Maverick. Top Gun was an 80s reboot.
I was trying to make that analogy go
but...
somewhere. It's whatever. You know what? It's Joseph Kosinski. At this point, the man has proven that he can make some of the best movies that you'll see at the movie theater. So I can't wait for this. I want to see what his take on this is. Joseph Kosinski is also this really meticulous filmmaker. I'm not saying Tom Cruise is going to
be in it. I'm just making a joke. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
We will see. But I'm excited for this. But next, we have a first look about a couple people. But first look at Ray Fiennes kind of as President Snow in Sunrise on the Reaping. Probably the best casting thing they have in this damn movie, which I'm excited for. I am excited for, but it's going to be... If you don't know, Sunrise on the Reaping is going to be about the 50th quarter quell. 50th Hunger Games, the second quarter quell, and it's going to be about Woody Harrelson, that character. I forget his name, but it's going to be about him and his Hunger Games, and so it's very exciting. But we got a little tiny tidbit. There he is.
Cool.
We're cooked. I don't know why you're cooked, because I don't know. I think it looks, from what little we see, it looks pretty good to me. But yeah, we got a little bit. I don't know if I don't know if you care about this, Dan, but yeah. I mean,
I only watched the Hunger Games trilogy, the original trilogy, for the first time a year ago. So not saying, I mean, I liked it. I have not caught up with all the prequels, but I mean, it's Ray Fiennes, right? Anything Ray Fiennes does, he elevates. So I can't wait to see what he does with this. He was already to Voldemort, so might as well play another one of those iconic big bads, President Snow. This is because you would say President Snow is basically the Voldemort of the Hunger Games franchise. So it's not surprising to see Ray Fiennes taking on the role and looking good doing it. So,
yep. But next up, we wrestling. Hey, Dan, wake up! Wrestling. Look,
it's the tribal chief, the original, the only tribal chief.
Teases his transformation into Akuma in new teaser. But he was talking about how was very excited about being in this, and here he is. Well, boom. It doesn't really show much, but it's just like,
it's a bit of a tease. I mean, honestly, there's not much to look at right now. They haven't, whatever they're filming, it's not out for the public to see. And quite frankly, they'll have a lot of CGI enhancements to these guys' looks. So it's for what it is, cool. I don't think we're getting any real looks at this until maybe character posters or the first teaser trailer. So we'll see.
Right, but very exciting. But speaking of possibly a comeback, Gina Carano signs up for Vegas crime series Logan Rain, teaming with Get Out producer for first TV project since Mandalorian. Gina Carano famously also said a thing that got her canceled and fired. Disney seems to be doing that a lot. And so now, after finally settling with Disney, which isn't really much of a win on her part, but hey, she settled and got some money out of the deal. And now she's probably going to be making some type of comeback with this crime series, Logan Rain. Could be interesting. I wish the best for her, even though, she's really not that great of an actress, but hey, whatever. Dan, thoughts?
You know what? This is the first big thing, like you said, since the Mandalorian situation, and she's not the best actress, but you know what? Hopefully this works out for her, because I don't know if she has much of a future ahead. It wasn't like outside of the Mandalorian, she had a ton of other stuff going on back then. So you know what? If she wants to keep acting, then here's an opportunity, and if maybe it works out for her, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. I'm kind of indifferent to it because I most likely will not watch it. So
yeah. But next up, Paramount lands scot-free thriller Here Be Monsters, next film for Tron Ares director Joaquin Roning. It is a C-set survival thriller that has franchise ambitions. I don't know how good that'll be with the guy who gave us Dead Men Tell No Tales and Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, but we'll see. Maybe he can get out of the terrible movies he's done in the past and make something for himself. But thoughts on this?
You know what? Paramount keeps landing projects. Certainly some big ones. I mean, hey, look, he's directing Tron Ares. Honestly, the trailers for Tron Ares have been really impressive so far. The movie might suck, but if it doesn't, then Joaquin, Renning can up his rate for its next project. So if that ends up happening, then Paramount might have gotten a steal here. So who knows? We'll see.
But yeah, wish the best to him. Next up, apparently the MTV Video Music Awards audience surpasses 6 million viewers in 7 days, which is up 29% from last year. It probably has something to do with Sabrina Carpenter being the most talked about artist right now, next to Taylor Swift. So, congrats. I mean, 6 million isn't really a lot, but I'm glad that it's up. I mean, one of the few award shows where the numbers are up instead of the numbers are down. So congrats.
No,
I mean, I don't really give a fuck because I don't listen to any modern music whatsoever. So
yikes.
Yeah.
Old man John showing up. It's good. Like you said, the ratings are up. That's good because these days, award shows are not really seen by. I mean, who? Like you said, who outside of the Oscars, I don't even really pay attention. I mean, not that I don't pay attention. I don't really sit down and watch a 3-4 hour show. Most people don't have the attention span. We have better things to do with our lives. So when the ratings rise, that means, they might be doing something right. Who knows? It's because remember back in the 90s when Michael Jackson would be on there and the VMAs and stuff, like VMAs used to mean something. Nowadays, not so much. So this is good, I guess. If you're a fan of music and you still watch the VMAs, and cool. Tight.
I don't even know what that means. Anyway, but last quick hit. Apparently, Sly Stallone pitched AI de-aging Rambo prequel. The tech is sophisticated enough to make me 18 years old. Yeah, but they can't exactly fix that broken back, broken hip, and broken fucking nearly 80-year-old body you have. So we're probably going to get, as Dan said before we started, an Irishman situation where we have Robert De Niro looking like a 30-year-old, but it looks like he's about to break a hip just by stepping on someone. So, yeah, sure, it can make you look 18-year-olds, but it can't fix your broken old-ass body. So, yeah, just cast someone different.
This was funny.
Or just don't make the movie at all because it's probably going to fucking suck either way. So, and anyway.
I was like, I think he forgot about the fact that when you're de-aging somebody, it's not like you're putting him through the entropy machine in Tenet and going back in time.
Like, really? Come on now.
Like I think this was funny because I'm like, okay, yeah, the technology hasn't gone that good, dude. Like, they're not gonna de-age you, like actually de-age you. You're basically gonna like have body doubles for all the dialogue scenes. They might do a deep fake de-aging of you and then basically plop that on a younger actor, like what they did with the Mark Hamill coming back as Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. And then for any of the action sequences, he ain't doing those. Plus his voice sounds different. He doesn't sound the way he did 30 years ago. I'm like, no, de-aging, at that point you might as well just tell it, like, sign off your rights to an AI and then just let it be an entirely AI generated Rambo, and we know that's not gonna sell well. So I think what they're doing now with the Rambo franchise with basically a fresh start, right? Like an origin story. Who's the guy? Remember we talked about it? He was in that Netflix show a while ago. He was in Black Adam. Noah Centineo. He's our new Rambo. Yeah, I mean, honestly, of all the options, I mean, rather than having a really badly done de-aged and very expensive. Remember when The Irishman was done? That movie didn't even win any Oscar.
I just mentioned that
for Netflix. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying,
it's a great movie, but oof.
nobody's gonna put up the kind of money needed to make this happen, and it ain't gonna make enough money for it to be, justifiable. So, yeah, there you go.
But that's it.
Sorry,
That's
Sly.
Just be old. Fucking eat your oatmeal and go to bed at 4 p.m. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that is it for quick hits. And thanks for watching the news side of things. Now we're gonna get into something a little bit easier, a little bit better, a little bit nicer, and that's something that is apparently blessed from the beginning.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to DCU Daily time. Thank you all for sticking with us through the very controversial news segments, I guess. But we love and appreciate all of you for doing that. Now we're going to talk some DC. We don't have a ton of DC because, a lot of kind of a slow DC thing going on outside of Peacemaker, I guess.
I don't know, I feel like there's plenty to talk about.
There's the main thing today is Fancast Friday, which we'll be getting to soon enough. But it's just, I'm just saying. Anyway, so that voice that you hear is Dan. Dan, what are you excited to talk about today? If you have such a mouth on you.
I'm excited to talk about all things DC. I think primarily for me, talking about the Batman updates. That's going to be interesting. And then, especially because the Batman #1, the new iteration of Batman in the comics, is doing really well. So I'm excited about that. And then I really want to, look in. Well, I think those comments that Bautista made about the reasons why he ultimately ended up not being Peacemaker. I think that's going to be something interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's also on the thumbnail, so it makes sense, right? Like there's a reason why that's going to be one of the big things we'll be discussing. So, because it could have been a very different timeline, and quite frankly, if you look at those, Photoshop looks at Batista as Peacemaker, I buy it. So yeah. But
in terms of talking comic book stuff. Probably the most interesting thing that's probably going to be an article that's designed to rage bait, even though there's nothing to rage about. But apparently the new Catwoman for the Absolute Universe is now apparently confirmed to be half Brazilian, half black. New variant cover. I don't know why they had to of course, people are making this a race thing, even though Catwoman has been other races in the comics for a very long time. But
they talked about it here too.
Year 1, she was black, so I don't know why.
Not only that, wasn't she Cuban American in the animated series?
I don't know. I'm sure there's. Fucking, she was black in the fucking Adam West show. Why is this news? But also happy Batman Day. It is finally Batman Day. But now we're talking about Batman, and very, very exciting. But I will say, I hate the fucking the Mysterio fishbowl head thing she has, but the rest of it looks great. It looks like Catwoman. I think she's kind of got a Wolverine thing going on with the gloves, but outside of the ugly ass fucking weird fishbowl helmet, it's a pretty good design. I don't know. I think it looks fine. I don't get what the red line. It kind of looks like Batman Beyond-esque, but I think it looks fine to me. I'm pretty sure people are probably going to get up in their boots about this, and how
I don't know what you're talking about, John. I think she looks fine to me.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid horny comments, but like, people are going to talk
I
about
mean,
it
it's
anyway.
John. It's you kept saying the words. I'm like, you might as well give it the proper enunciation. So
Anyway, but there's also the news of what Joker looks like in the absolute universe. But like, yeah, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on looking nice instead. So yeah, how can you mess up Catwoman? You can't mess up Catwoman. Making her a prostitute, I guess, because Frank Miller be Frank Millering, but but yeah, it's just good design. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this. I don't read the absolute universe. So yeah, but looks cool to me. Except for the fishbowl head. I still hate that. Still looks stupid, but I like the purple though. I like the I like I think I prefer Catwoman in like a dark purple, like I prefer Batman in like a dark blue, but that's just me. Well, she was a pimp in Dark Knight Return. Well, she was like a leader of an escort service in Dark Knight Returns, but in Year One, which takes place in that same universe, I believe, she is a prostitute. So, there is all of this. Well, I mean, she would have apparently been played by Carly Gugino, which would have been a great choice because she's definitely fits Catwoman, and it works.
I mean, he also had her in Watchmen, so Zack Snyder clearly, working with same actors twice. Very common with directors, especially auteur directors like his.
The ears look a little bit too big for me, so
yeah.
But speaking of Batman #1, Dan was excited to talk about that, so let's get into that. Speaking of blue Batman, because now we have only.
I've never been more convinced by a blue as almost a primary color in a Batman costume than by what we see in these new set of comics.
It's gonna be both Batman #1 and Absolute Batman #1 have been the top selling comics of the year, and people love their Batman, so it seems like they're gonna be getting a relaunch soon, and like Deadpool and Batman, that's gonna get a reprinting soon. Just people can't get enough Batman, so it's the Batman #1 hit store September 3rd, about 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks ago. And it's been just absolutely killing it. The Absolute Universe has been killing it. So maybe DC is healing. He also fired that bitch for being a bitch. So it's. I think DC is healing. Maybe, hopefully. I mean, the comic book industry is kind of in the shitter still because everyone reads manga now. But hopefully, just keep it in your pants, Caleb. Keep it in your pants. Batman. Well, I think Spider-Man has him beat, but that's beside the point. But considering how Marvel has completely ruined Spider-Man in the modern age, I'm willing to believe that now Batman probably has overtaken Spider-Man at this point. I only work in black and sometimes very, very dark gray. But yeah. I don't hate manga. It's just that's the fact. It's just like it's been like years that like manga has just been killing it. Like people don't really like what they've done to the Western comic book. It's just like they keep hiring these writers who don't care about these characters, who don't like these characters, and are writing for them anyway. There's the shift of making every villain a good guy because you have all these people who grew up with these comics relating to the villains more and hence can't write heroes, so they make villains into heroes, and it just like that doesn't work. And manga is just so vast in genres because just like comic books, yes, there are other comic books, there are indie comics that are like not just superhero stuff, but those again are independent or very small companies. Meanwhile, manga, it just feels like it's so vast with all sorts of, it doesn't matter the company or the artist or anything, it's just like it's so vast, the genres are vast. No, I know they're not Western comics. I'm just saying that people don't want to read Western comics anymore, and manga is not very similar, but like in terms of like a book that is primarily pictures and not words, then yeah, there is a comparison there. You know, it's a very vague thing, but many people they're going to anime, they're going to manga, and they're not reading Western stuff, they're reading Eastern stuff. And because it's more consistent, while there's just bumps and hills of like this writer doing this hero or this hero in general or this run and that run. It's just like it's not consistent anymore, and nobody fucking reads comics anymore, especially now with the downturn of superhero media. So it's whatever. No trunks for I like the trunks on Batman, but it's not more. I will say Superman has to have the trunks. Batman could go with or without, but I prefer it. That's just me, though. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this.
I just love the idea that Batman comics are selling really well. Like you said, it's a distressed industry, the comic books, and they deserve more attention considering the billions of dollars these movies and TV shows make. So I'm glad that this is off to a great start. The key will be how good does it keep on doing it with the upcoming editions. Obviously, the Absolute Universe is doing well, like you mentioned before. So it's a good time to be a DC comic book fan, especially because then James Gunn also, you could tell he's got an appreciation for it. And so he's clearly, always trying to point people towards the comics themselves. He's not just saying, go watch the movies and TV shows. He wants you to be a more educated fan of the entire genre. So I think for DC, at least, this is a good time.
Right. But they have the Suicide Squad Isekai show. They have the Yakuza League, Batman Ninja. They're already kind of doing it. So,
Yeah. Collaborations and such. Crossovers and experiments,
because they sell merch. They sell like Funko Pops and T-shirts, and outside of like comic books, and they sell movies. They sell other things that are not just comics. So but they're on last gasps. But that's beside the point. But we're still gonna keep going on with the Batman vibe here, and with that, we're gonna be talking about Batman Part 2 a little bit. So we talked about this yesterday, days ago, I don't remember, but Matt Reeves revealed that he's going to be doing a lot of things in the new sequel, that things that have never been done before. And everybody took that as he's going to be doing a villain no one's ever seen before, because people don't fucking read the fine print, or they just want clicks, or both. So even though Matt Reeves said he's just generally doing something that's never really been done before, everyone took that as villains that have never been on screen before, because people are stupid. So, but we do have this to talk about. The possible 5 most likely possibilities for the villain that's never been done before, even though that's not what Matt Reeves said.
I mean, just for shits and giggles, though, I think it's a good conversation to have, considering.
No, I think so too. It's just like,
the discourse online.
Read what he said. That's the thing. Come on, guys.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
But here's what the 5 people are. Apparently, this character named Nobody, not Mr. Nobody from Doom Patrol, but just Nobody, introduced in Batman and Robin. Morgan Ducard is the son of Henri Ducard, the detective and assassin who helped train young Bruce Wayne. Now, you probably remember the name Ducard, which was essentially what Ra's al Ghul was in the Nolan movies. They essentially combined various characters
because there's that whole red herring
Bruce Wayne into one character. That is essentially what Nolan did with that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Henri Ducard and Ra's al Ghul have no connection in the comics. They just trained Bruce Wayne. So Morgan initially befriended Bruce, but was tasked with killing him by his father, and all this other stuff. I don't think this character is likely. It's very obscure, and I don't think this would be the case for this character because I just don't get the vibe that this version of Batman traveled the world to like help train him. He just seems like a guy who has like a garage and he lifts weights in his garage kind of thing. Like he feels like a little bit more blue collar than other iterations a little bit. So, but that's just the vibe I get. I don't really get the vibe that like he went off and like went to the like all these people to train him. I don't know if you get that vibe, Dan, but that's what I get that vibe. But
I mean, I agree with you there. Yeah.
Nobody. But the next one I agree with, and that's Hugo Strange. And Matt Reeves. I will say this. You looking at me, Matt? Huh? Mr. Reeves, are you looking at me? Are you fucking looking at me? Hugo Strange, I will only accept the casting of Giancarlo Esposito as Hugo Strange. And if you don't do that, I will find you. I won't kill you because that's stupid, but like I will find you and I will give you a wet willy. So have fucking Giancarlo Esposito play Hugo Strange if you have Hugo Strange in your movie. Please and thank you. Anyway, but
it's he's a bit busy currently in the raft in the MCU. That's where Disney's got Giancarlo Esposito trapped right now.
The Boys is ending. They fucked up his character in the MCU. Come on. We'll treat you better than the shit fucks down the street, Esposito. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I agree with Hugo Strange because Matt Reeves did say that he's going to focus more on Bruce Wayne than Batman. Because that like Batman was the focus. Now he's going to focus on Bruce Wayne, probably making him more into the type of person that Bruce Wayne is rather than like emo virgin he was in the first one. So, and Hugo Strange is very tied to Bruce Wayne because he finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman and uses it to like blackmail him and such. So, I think Hugo Strange would be awesome. Best case scenario for me is Hugo Strange is the villain or one of the major villains. So, yeah, Hugo Strange, I definitely agree on this one. Next is Calendar Man. No. Hush, I could definitely see Hush. He kind of has the vibe. There is a Bruce Wayne connection there because there is the idea, Thomas Elliott was friends with Bruce Wayne, and there was a character named Elliot in the Batman. I don't think it was the name of his father, but it was like some journalist that got killed because they was trying to investigate the Waynes, and there was that whole thing. So there could be like Thomas Elliott, like
I think isn't it implied that the Riddler's father was that guy? Am I wrong about that?
I don't think so because he was
the whole
Edward
manifesto,
Ashton, and the guy was Roger Elliott. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
but so with Hush, he would probably want a vendetta against Bruce Wayne because allegedly, Bruce Wayne and his father and his family being in bed with the mafia, he would want revenge against Bruce Wayne specifically, and Bruce Wayne has to like become this better being to not just be like this like guy, this introverted guy. He needs to be like the playboy billionaire that he usually is. So, but I think it could be a good thing where Hush is against Bruce Wayne and not necessarily Batman. I think that could be very, very interesting. I agree. That is essentially that's like that. Even though I knew he would do a good job, that's what I wanted to see. But no, we got fucking Kurt Cobain looking motherfucker.
Something in the way. I'm a detective, I swear. Even though I didn't take first grade Spanish. I swear, I'm a good Batman.
Anyway, although I do agree with that. Hush is logical. However, it's a little bit too close to Riddler, especially with what they did in the DC AMU, where they made Riddler into Hush to circumvent the twist that he was Thomas Elliot, but that's beside the point. I do agree with that. But Christian Bale didn't have that problem. Anyway, but Hush, I could see that as a good choice, but I see what I agree. Well, I do agree with Caleb. It is very close to the Riddler. So so I could see that clearly. But for their number one is the Court of Owls. Of course, the Court of Owls. Now, if we're talking too big of an arc to do in one movie, that's the Court of Owls. I could see maybe Talon being the villain, and maybe it links to other movies of Court of Owls stuff. But I just think Court of Owls way too big for not just one movie, but the next two movies. If you want to do Court of Owls, the entire trilogy needs to be focused on Court of Owls. Because the thing is, you can't tell the entire span of Batman in a trilogy. You got to focus on one aspect of his life. And with that, I just think Court of Owls is just too big. I agree. It's just in one movie, it's just not enough. These are big characters. They are literally the Illuminati of Gotham City, and you can't just do all of that. Even if it's a 3 to 4 hour movie, you can't just do that in one movie. You really can't. And I just think, would it be cool? Absolutely. I would love to see the Court of Owls in a movie, but it would need to be like a mini series or a TV show or an entire trilogy of movies focused on Court of Owls, because they're just too big for one movie. I don't think that would work if they plan to do it for Batman Part 2 and only Batman Part 2. It's just too big. But Mr. Freeze is, I think, a little bit too much for this world in terms of the realism. Mad Hatter, I could see. Mad Hatter, just don't make him a pedophile, because that's very easy and very stupid. So, but yeah, okay, gotta be naughty. But yeah, Dan, I don't know if you agree with all this, or if you have one that's your favorite out of this list, or you have your own recommendation in terms of the possibility of the villain for the sequel.
But for me, it's still probably going to be Hush, and Court of Owls is the most obvious direction. I don't think they make it a one-off, but I guess that also depends on, Matt Reeves is potentially not going to do a whole trilogy. If that's the case, then maybe that was the plan in the beginning, but things have changed. I think he sort of hinted at that almost with his comments recently, so we'll see. I mean, there's some really good options here. But, and I guess at the end of the day, all we can say is in Matt Reeves we trust, or at least we hope so, because it's
right.
The ball's in his court, quite literally.
The balls are in his mouth. I mean, what? The balls are in his court. So I just hope he makes a good movie. That's all I ask. I just hope it's better than the first, which I liked the first one. I just think it should have been better, and maybe you should have cut 30 to 45 minutes from the movie, but that's just me. And have that Batman be an actual detective instead of what it means in Spanish. And Commissioner Gordon just taking the reins and being the best part of that movie. So but yeah, the next thing we have is, of course, Batman related, but not this Batman, but the other Batman related project that we have, and that is, where is it? There it is, Clayface. Because Eddie Marsan, who is going to be in the upcoming Clayface film, had a lot to say about Tom Rhys-Harris, and he was saying that he is in fact amazing and is giving an amazing performance. Obviously, he's not going to say the guy sucks, but he's still going out of his way to say it. So in regards to what Comic Book Movie has said in regards to this actor talking about the film, but he said He said he couldn't say much, but he said James is a wonderful director, and I think Tom is an incredible actor. You're going to see an amazing performance. So obviously he's, talking about All the Devils Are Here, which is going to be in select theaters, and coming from Paramount, the bad guys in the situation. But yeah, it's nice to see, God's positivity in terms of, because it feels like we've gotten a lot of like behind the scenes stuff in regards to this, but we haven't seen like the actors or the director or anybody really say anything about the production. Obviously they can't like say anything because everything is secret, but like it's just nice to see an actor like actually talk about the movie in the real world type of thing. So yeah, I can't wait for the movie, and yay Clay. That's gonna be the new slogan, guys. Yay Clay.
I mean, him talking up his own movie is not exactly, revolutionary. It's the whole water is wet situation, but it's good to hear. I mean, he didn't trash it. At least we'll have to wait and see for ourselves because this is a gamble on the part of DC. We'll have to see if it actually works out or not at the end. So
right, but nice. It's still nice to see, and love to see it in regards to people just talking about the movie. Like it's nice to see. But now we move on to eating some peace. Well, apparently Dave Bautista ate some peace or didn't,
almost
because
he almost did.
He was forced to turn it down. So what happened was, we did talk about this on the show, I believe sometime this week or last week, where Dave Bautista was the first choice to play Peacemaker, and he turned it down because it was an ensemble piece. He wasn't getting paid enough, and he went to go for the bigger paycheck, which look how that turned out. But Dave Bautista was the original choice for the character, now helmed by John Cena, and he did say this. He said, I have to say that one, I really wanted to do that part. Gunn wrote that part for me, and it was meant for me, and it just became a scheduling thing where I just couldn't do it because I was doing Army of the Dead. Ouch. Oof. Doing a mediocre Zack Snyder movie instead, that's a shame.
Yikes.
Ouch. And so it was a scheduling issue that we just could not figure out. But he said it was a blessing in disguise. Because and he's like, and I think it was great. It was a blessing in disguise that I didn't do that, because I have to say, I have to be honest, there's no way that I would have been able to do that role like John Cena. He's just perfect for it, and I wouldn't have done it justice, and it wouldn't have been as successful. So look, and I'm saying that with a bit of envy. I would love it. I just wouldn't have been able to do the same thing that John does to bring to that character. It just wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been as good. I can honestly say it wouldn't have been as good. I personally don't agree with that. He kind of just focusing on like other things as well, but I think he would have done the comic character more justice, because I feel like even though he can be funny, I'll do you one better. Why, Gamora? Anyway, but we know that he probably could have done the more self-serious version of Peacemaker, like the comics, where he's more the straight man, where he's like the idea of like, I'm gonna kill as many men, children, and women I can to enforce peace with all my heart, like whatever the fucking line was. So I can see him like being the straight man rather than the goofier, douchier Captain America like he was in the movies, which it's taken me a lot of time to like. But I just have to divorce it from the original character. Same thing with Vigilante, because these characters are essentially not like their comic book counterparts at all, which isn't always a bad thing, because they're making the characters their own, and sometimes that works. So I agree. I can't see anyone else at this point, although unless they reboot it 30 years down the line and they get someone that's more like that comic book counterpart, then yeah.
Yeah, well, I think here's the thing. The whole douchey Captain America version fits John Cena better than Dave Bautista. Also, like you said, John, the version of here's the thing. We'd be living in a different timeline. It would be a different version of the character. But at the end of the day, I feel like the comedic timing of John Cena is perfect for this role.
Yeah.
And John Cena is a dramatic actor too. Exactly. Well, yeah. So I
he
feel
just
like
essentially made the character his own. Like that was the whole thing with John Cena.
Yeah,
so.
and it would be a different version. So it's kind of it's not really it's not really an apples to apples comparison in that sense, right? Like you would say you'd be looking at it would be a different version of the characters. At which point, I mean, hey, look, one theory I'm going to float out here is this. James Gunn still very much wants Batista in the DCU. He's made that pretty clear. Batista is still open to the idea of playing somebody. Bane, probably not, because you have to put on a lot of weight. James Gunn said that himself. He's like, maybe something else. But then James Gunn has also been teasing this huge cameo in Peacemaker. And we are all going for the usual suspects like Superman, Lex Luthor, or some other big character. This season is all about parallel dimensions and, these quantum unfolding chambers and all that. So far, the only Peacemakers we have met have all been played by John Cena. But in Loki season 1 and season 2, Tom Hiddleston's Loki ran across many other actors' versions, including, some who weren't even human Lokis. I think there's a very real possibility that Bautista could yet play Peacemaker, just not the one that this show is about. And that could be the really big cameo. And it would be more of a one and done.
The season is all about the multiverse. Like that's the whole point of this season, is that he's going into another universe. Like that's kind of it. So
I'm just saying. I mean, this is me speculating clearly, but can it happen? Sure. Will it happen? I have no idea. I'm just suggesting it as a possibility because I feel like it checks a few boxes, right? So,
right.
What do you think, John?
I still think he probably could have done more of a like what Gunn initially envisioned and make him more like his comic book counterpart if Dave Bautista played the role. But essentially, they just went in a whole different direction for John Cena. So,
No, but what do you think about the idea of like Batista? I mean, that being
that could be funny, but I feel like that would take away. Like,
do you think that would be like the Iron Man 3 twist of the Trevor? I'm Trevor Slattery.
I don't think so. Well, one, I didn't hate that twist. And second, I think they want to save him for like a really good role because James Gunn has said that he wants to save certain actors for like really big roles that would benefit them. So I just think that he would, if he wants to really work with Dave Bautista again, he would want to save him for like a really, really good role. So whatever, and I just don't think he would just make him a variant for a quick joke. He possibly could, but I don't think he will. But yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I think he deserves a real role.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting. I mean, again, this is me just opining and theorizing.
But yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, it's still up in the air on whether or not this perfect world is actually run by Nazis. So, that's my still floating theory in regards to this season. So we'll see.
I mean, and you're not the only one either. You're not the only one. I mean, more and more people are leaning into that because it's all the pieces would fit. So
all the piece.
All the piece, yeah. I wish we had a sound effect for that. And we need like a dum, somewhere.
Anyway, but this isn't the only Peacemaker thing we have. We have a couple more fun things to get into. But we have your girl, Jennifer Holland, doing some funny things in regards to the dance sequence. In regards to season 2 and just doing a whole it's just a funny, cute little video about
it's fun. I mean, she teaches you a few of the steps, like how do you do the dances from the new intro, and in the process she kind of tells us like, hey, we were all the actors were like, are we about to like dive bomb our careers doing this? Because this may look really bad. Because the way it's shot, we know the intro, there's nowhere for them to hide. Like, they gotta know what they're doing, otherwise it's gonna show. So, and it's like it's not really a oneer, but there are a couple of oneers stitched together. So yeah, like synchronization, you gotta have some basic dance abilities, and I mean, Jennifer Holland also has to do 2 different versions of her character in the intro, so there's that too. But she's a professionally trained dancer, so I'm sure it was a lot harder for some of the other ones. I mean, look, hey, you know what? To each their own. That's not even the biggest age gap between Jennifer Holland and James Gunn that you'd find in a Hollywood couple. So,
hey, look at Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, there you go. You know, Exhibit A.
Strumming the D. Perfect. But
okay.
Hey, that's what they have in the video. I'm just saying.
No, it is. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. She said it. She says it in the video. I mean, you're not wrong.
But yeah, this is overall just a kind of a cute little video. Nothing crazy or anything. Just, cute little thing. If you want a little bit more cute, sexy blonde on your timeline, then boom, there you go. You got more Jennifer Holland for you. But Leonardo decapped at 25, Rio. What would we do without you guys? What would we do without you?
This is truly DCU Daily After Dark now. Damn.
But let's get into the next thing, the last thing with a very wonderful thumbnail cut too. But
by the way, John, can I sidebar you for a second? Did you ever see that Bradley Cooper AI Jor-El music video? That somebody, one of you guys watching sent this on Threads, and
he's not divorcing them. He's just breaking up with them. He's not married to them. Just saying. We got to keep that for later.
Yeah.
But I'll go see it later. But this is James Gunn talking about the burden of Michael Rooker, and he said at a young age, he's like, "Please make me a big, famous, rich movie director."
Yeah.
And then Jesus came to him, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you that, but you got to be stuck with this fucking guy." And it's a great price.
Gift that keeps on giving.
And it's just Michael Rooker's fucking ugly. So this is from the podcast. I just finished watching the 4th episode. I got to watch the 5th episode. Your Sisyphus, he's the stone you have to push up the hill. But he's saying he loves Michael Rooker, but he's just making a lot of funny things because he plays Red Saint Wild, who, a very interesting part of this season who recently met his end. But it goes to show that these guys and gals love what they're doing and they love this guy, and it's just like it's a fun camaraderie, and really love to see it. Dan, have you watched any of the episodes or no? Or listened to them?
I have not caught up. I listened to the first episode, so I'm really behind. I kind of listened to the first one, and then I've just been. But I've seen bits and pieces of them.
Right. I mean, we've talked about them on the
exactly.
Before,
it's fun. It's fun. You can see James Gunn is really candid about a lot of these conversations. He's making up canon as he goes. He's having real conversations. I mean, it doesn't feel staged. Like they're literally. This is like the closest thing to director's commentary to the show that we're gonna get. So I love the I love the vibe check on this podcast.
It's why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free. That's the yeah, that is true. James Gunn loves to kill Michael Rooker. So, he died in Slither, he died in Guardians 2, and he died in this now. Although this is Peacemaker, but and the Suicide Squad. Those were the 4 things. But yeah, he loves killing Michael Rooker. But that's it for the Peacemaker side of things. Now we're going to be getting into more general DC news to cap out the show. And the first thing we have, kind of just a quick thing to talk about. I don't know but I think we talked about this when it initially came out. But this is the first look at Bat Fam, which is a Prime Video show that follows Batman, Alfred, and Little Batman as they go through life as a super family. So this is essentially the you know, um, this is essentially just ugly animation doing ugly animation things because I think it was like a little Batman Christmas is what this has started as, and now they're getting a whole thing here. And yeah, it does. I mean, it's probably just it's gonna be a thing for kids, so it's kind of it. But I mean, it'll probably be better than Batman Cape Crusader, so there is that. But yeah, this is essentially the show, and yeah, it's certainly interesting. It's not made for everyone, but if you want to watch it, cool. How do you do, fellow kids? Love bad animation. There's a great webtoon comic that's sense of life anime style that would make a great My Adventure style show. This Amazon Christmas movie art is just ugster. Yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, Dan.
I mean, I came across this and I was like, you know what? This looks like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Don't insult Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends like that.
Just the visuals. I'm not saying the storytelling will be anywhere near.
No, the visuals are the worst part of it.
Okay, I'm giving you my first reaction. You asked me for my opinion. There you go.
Probably. He probably did die as one of the robots too. But yeah. Not gonna watch this, but if people watch it and enjoy it, then good on them. But the next thing we have, guys, James Gunn's talking about height. Oh my god! And apparently it's not as important as everyone thinks it is. So this person asked, you once said you didn't feel good about Wonder Woman in the DCU being taller than Superman since it's hard to find an accomplished actress who's 6'5" or taller. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on her height in general? Could actresses under 5'9" still play Wonder Woman? I've seen too many short actresses being fan cast for Diana, and I don't know how to feel about this. Not good either, for sure. And James Gunn had this to say: I don't think extreme height is the most important factor in casting Wonder Woman. That's all I said earlier as well. I never said I didn't feel good about her being taller than Superman. I just said it would never be what I considered most important in her casting. So here, you heard it here first.
There you go.
The fucking height doesn't fucking matter. So people can shut the fuck up about it. God damn. I understand. You don't want a Wonder Woman that's 4'5". I get it. Although that would certainly be interesting. I don't think we're not going to worry about that. But calm the fuck down. He doesn't need to be fucking 7'11", 6'11", blah, blah, blah. All right? Jesus Christ. Y'all can shut the fuck up about the goddamn height. I'm glad my parents are.
Get off John's dick already. I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying this is good. I can yell as much as I want. This is great. Anyway, but I'm just
are you okay? Wait, you can never mind. I'm not gonna go there. Go ahead. Keep going.
I'm just saying it's just who gives a fuck? It's height. Just pick someone who can act, who can fight, and play a fucking Amazonian demigod. This isn't real. It doesn't matter. Just fucking shut up and deal with it. James Gunn knows what he's doing until, he inevitably gets booted once fucking Netflix buys this shit and puts Zack Snyder in the Restore the Snyderverse fucking role.
Sadie, come on back.
And I'm probably going to put a bullet in my mouth. But until then, this shit doesn't fucking matter. And the height doesn't matter. And just fucking shut up about the fucking height. God damn it. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I agree. Just pick an actress who's good enough for the job. Katie O'Brien, Asia Arjona. Those are my gals. Have one of them for Wonder Woman. Bing, bam, boom. Easy as pie. Jesus Christ. Yes, I get it. But also, here's the thing. They're not real. So, whatever. Katie is, I know. Katie O'Brien is fucking jacked. She would be perfect for Wonder Woman. But Jesus.
Height casting for next tier list. That's good. That's great.
Yeah, height casting. Wonder Little Woman. It's like that
It's
god awful comic.
it's fine. Look, if Gal Gadot did as well as she did, considering her limited acting ability, I think we'll be fine. They'll have somebody in there, and like I've said before, Tom Cruise has played opposite many an actress that have been taller than him or other co-leads, male or female, and a lot of the times it does not matter. So they can make it work. There's a lot of techniques to feel how we can make a movie. You're not doing a theatrical play. So, and honestly, the biggest thing for me would be, I don't even care if she comes in, like, Katie O'Brien would make sense if she aces her audition as an actor.
Yeah,
but
I think she's a very good actor. Like, from what we've seen of her, I think she's very good. But the thing I like is that she's, very beautiful. I know that very much helps with the character of Wonder Woman. And on top of the fact she is very buff, very strong. I know like strength doesn't really matter, like in terms of what you physically look like, but it gives us a visual representation of what super strength is. I understand you could have like a little teeny tiny nimble looking motherfucker and they have super strength because it's not real. But at the same time, we want our superheroes to be big and buff because it gives us that physical scratch to itch in terms of like, oh, we can clearly tell that they're strong because they're so buff looking. I understand that. So with that, but I think, well, here's the thing why I would want Katie O'Brien is because I think it helps. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it would help. It's kind of like what Tony was saying with what he prefers for a Robin who can fight or a Nightwing who can fight. Well, I understand that, but that's kind of what I want for Wonder Woman. I don't think it's as necessary for Nightwing, but Wonder Woman is the best fighter in the DCU. So I think it's kind of cool that you have an actress who is very fit, who fits into those Wonder Woman physical dynamics, who's also a really, really good actress, but is also proficient in like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So like that's also helpful. So, I just think Katie O'Brien pretty much checks off all the boxes. Does that mean she's like the only choice for the role? No, I'm sure James Gunn or whoever's directing this Wonder Woman movie is going to pick the best person for the role. And I'll either be really happy with it or prove me wrong. That is when I'm iffy on a casting, then I'll be like, you know what? Prove me wrong. And you know what? There are a lot of people that were really good that have proved me wrong. Because this is what happens. They pick someone for the role. Everyone complains that they suck. And everyone gets mad. And then they turn out to be really good. Because the fucking casting director and the director know what they want. And they know what they're doing more than any dipshit fan knows what they're talking about. So, I just think that there's a lot of capabilities and a lot of things in regards to this. So I don't know. I just say whoever you're going to get is going to be the right choice and I will be happy with it. Or I'll just say, prove me wrong. That's all. Exactly. The DCU casting has been pitch perfect so far. Jessica Biel could have been good. Yeah. Like 10, 20 years ago would have been awesome. And I also kind of agree with that as well. So, but that's just my opinion. Dan, I've been kind of going off for a while. I don't know if you have a solid opinion about all this.
I think they just need to, hire a great actress first and foremost, and then the physicality part of it. Like I've been saying before, you usually have 6 to 8 months for the actor to train up, put on muscle, study up on, like, if it's a mixed martial arts style, multiple, like we've all heard, like I'm sure you have all seen, if you haven't, go see the behind the scenes of the last James Bond movie, No Time to Die, as well as what they did for Ballerina. In both instances, Ana de Armas spent months training up and putting on some muscle to play those characters. So it's very possible, and she's not even the only person to have done that. Like, clearly Gal Gadot didn't walk. Hi, Tony. Gal Gadot didn't walk on set with the Batman v Superman on day one, being just capable of taking on all the physicality aspects of the role, and she probably wasn't as well, not that she put on the comic book level of Wonder Woman muscle, but she certainly looked the part. So I definitely think that we won't have any issues with training up, or not we, but like they won't have any issues at DC Studios physically training up, as well as obviously being able to act the part. And ultimately there will be scenes where they will have stunt doubles and digidoubles, like CGI doubles in shots. So yeah, just get a good actress.
And on top of the fact, what Dan Perry has said, people can be made to look taller. It's been a staple of Tom Cruise's career. So
yeah, exactly. Like I said, yeah, yep, absolutely. And he's not even the only one.
Kal-El, no. Anyway, so yeah, that's thoughts on Wonder Woman. So James Gunn, he actually knows what he's talking about. That's crazy. But the last bit of news today, in regards to HBO Max. So
hey, Justin Geeky Guy, welcome back.
So what was initially today, but is now yesterday, Superman is now available on HBO Max, and apparently it's taken over the entire app. So, it's got tons of stuff in regards to, in the app. It's like we have like unsung heroes of HBO Max. It's not just, DC related. We also have like Neville Longbottom and Samwise Gamgee and all that stuff. And then it includes a fan-focused Fortress of Solitude page with themed curations. It's also got Lex Luthor's pocket prison. So there will be hidden portals throughout the homepage that transport users to Lex Luthor's pocket prison. Damn, why does Jon Snow gotta be there? This man can't fucking catch a break. God damn, bro.
Such fortunate.
But this is really fun. And then so yeah, it's got like little things. It's like, what this kind of reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me of the old school DVD menus. I think and I really like that, because I love those old school like DVD homepages where you can like click on stuff in the background. There was Easter eggs, and now it's just like a flat image of the fucking movie and play special features, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, lame. But this is cool. I think this is cool. WB/HBO actually care about DC. I thought HBO Max people didn't want it to be a destination for comic book shows like Disney Plus. This looks very cute. Yeah, DVD menus used to be clever as fuck. But of course, Just Some Geeky Guy has been making the joke that everyone has made the joke for in the past couple of months. But if I had a nickel for every time Francis Lawrence directed a post-war dystopian novel where young people get killed in a game show hosted by a tyrannical government, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot. It's weird that happened twice. It wasn't really a game show, though. It was more like a lottery type of thing. And I guess that's kind of Hunger Games-ish, but like, it works. They're lazy now. They're like, F off, go stream. Yeah. Of course they care about that. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is cute. I like this. I like this a lot. I don't know if you care, Dan, but I like this. Anyway, I'm going to say it's cute.
I hear you. Thank you for all the super chats, everybody.
Yes, we appreciate the super chats. But that is it for DCU Daily. But don't worry, the fun ain't over yet. We are going to be heading over to Fancast Fridays, where we are going to be talking about Martian Manhunter. There was a slight tease, there was Chacos in Superman. There was a couple other things in regards to aliens and Martian Manhunter in the DCU. A couple of references towards him. So we're like, hey, might as well fancast him, as well as the fact that's the guy you guys picked. So we are going to be heading over there. But thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing and the super chats and all the things. We love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching. And so let's have James Gunn bring us out of here and being blessed at the end and whatnot. Yeah.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
Fuck Jeff